We come into this life because we want to experience, we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to evolve. That's why we do this. Being human is unique because it comes with a lot of challenges. The core part of us knows everything and is connected to everything. And then there's this layer of humanity, which sort of creates this wall of challenge, let's say. And so I think what happens is we agree to go through these experiences that are difficult and challenging. We just do, we all do. If you don't, you're not human. You're from some other dimension because and that's cool, right? Good for you.
Yeah.
But we all have this stuff. And I think because we're innately good and positive and loving and love and everything that's awesome, because of that, it's a little easier to develop habits around the thing that's different because it's so interesting and it's so not us. And we and we came here to learn about that thing that's different. That's what we're here to do, is to not only learn about it, but then change it, reshape it, reform it, story it, that's why. So we kind of came in to focus on that thing. And until we've reframed it and reshaped it, we're still focused on it. That's why shit feels bad.
Hello, Flow Getters. This is Lisa and Erica for the Flow Getter Show. Today, we're going to talk about practicing feeling good. Why would you need to practice that? We know that our brain, scientifically, is wired for negativity because survival. Now that we're all surviving quite well, the brain still goes, wah, and that's why we have chronic stress and all kinds of problems still, and people just have trouble. And so what I've learned from Erica is that we have to practice feeling good on purpose, but there's so many other dimensions to this. So Erica, why do we have to practice? What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you for reminding me of this idea that our brains are wired biologically to go negative. And I think, and I kind of want to speak on that for a minute.
Okay.
I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, is I guess what I want to point out. Because I think we're designed to see the problems, the holes, find the holes so that we can solve them, so that we can grow. So I think that's kind of the other thing too, I'll say, is from a spiritual perspective, I truly, genuinely believe that the core of our being is good. The core of our being is love. The core of our being is positivity. The core of our being is everything that feels good. Any word that you can think of, any thought that you can have, any whatever. The reason it feels good is because it's innately who we are. That's why it feels good. So in the physical world, things that are contrasty are interesting. They're different. We're curious. That's why that's why we tend to veer negative over positive. If both parts are equal, the negative thing is going to have a little more weight because it's different, it's interesting, it's contrasty. Like new anything, think of it, new person. Like that's what, we have relationships, and then over the course of time, some relationships, we kind of grow out of them because we've learned all we can, maybe, or we've kind of taken what we went into the relationship for. We've learned, we've grown, now we're ready for something new. The beginning of most relationships, particularly romantic, are very exciting for that reason. It's different, it's new, it's contrasty, right? You have to start to work on it after a while if you want to stay in it. I think that's just natural and normal. So I say all those things because that there's a reason why the negativity thing tends to stick a little better. It's because it's different. It's not who we are. So reminding ourselves of that.
So it's like we are pure positive energy, and you come into a contrasty type environment, and the biology is wired for survival. So it's looking for, and then if it does find a problem, it's like, solve the problem, for survival, essentially. So you're sort of mixing those things together. But why do you think it just takes over? I mean, I've had trouble with negativity for sure. and Scorpio. Not really my fault. But I mean, come on. But it's like I've certainly had trouble with that. So why do you think it's just so difficult for people, other than, yes, law of attraction will sort of make it stick, but like, can you tell me more? Because you're kind of my hero. Let's just start off and tell our audience, hi everyone. Erica's really good with her positivity and optimism. She's my hero in this way. I am all sunshine, rainbows, and sparkles when I'm in a good flow. Like, you cannot make, I am like the 4-year-old that you know and love. But when I'm negative, ooh, no, not good. So Erica's kind of totally my hero for the sort of positive, optimistic self. So Erica, I want to know, like, how Jane stopped this crazy thing, kind of, because the negativity just, once it gets a hold, it's not good.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I adore you, by the way. And I think I just want everyone to know that I think we're our biggest critics and hardest on ourselves. So just wanted to say that. But also,
I'm an expert actually at being hard on myself. In fact, if any of you want to know how to do that, call me.
But I will say, I think you said it, and I'll kind of expand on it. I think it's a habit, essentially, is what it is. It's a habit. It's a couple things. We've talked about core wounds. You and I are sort of on this crusade to kind of create a new way of speaking about core wounds in a really more positive way. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of think that that's important to sort of continue to bring up and to continue to remind people that, we grow up, we come into this life because we want to experience, we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to evolve. That's why we do this. Being human is unique because it comes with a lot of challenges. There's like the part of us that knows everything. The core part of us knows everything and knows all and is connected to everything. And it's very conscious and it's very aware and it's the wisest thing that exists. And then there's this layer of humanity that we sort of wrap humanity around that, which sort of creates this wall of challenge, let's say.
Yes.
And so I think what happens is we agree to go through these experiences that are difficult and challenging. We all do. If you don't, you're not human. You're from some other dimension because and that's cool, right? Good for you.
Yeah.
But we all have this stuff. And I think because, like I said in the beginning, because we're innately good and positive and loving and love and everything that's awesome, because of that, it's a little easier to develop habits around the thing that's different because it's so interesting and it's so not us. And we came here to learn about that thing that's different. That's what we're here to do, is to not only learn about it, but then change it, reshape it, reform it, story it, that's why. So we kind of came in to focus on that thing. And until we've reframed it and reshaped it, we're still focused on it. That's why shit feels bad.
I love it. Okay, give us an example.
Okay.
You can use me as a poster child, which is totally fine. Go. Okay.
Let's see here.
You're like, your problem is.
Well, let's see. I think you can really think of anything that you feel like you have either genuinely healed from or genuinely not healed from.
Oh my God, there is such a cornucopia. Oh my God.
Same with all of us, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So things that that you have reframed, reshaped, restored, the thing that you have healed from because you don't think of it anymore in a negative way. You don't feel bad about it anymore. You feel good about it, actually. And that, you've come full circle with whatever that thing was that you once felt crappy about, and now you don't. Right. Anything that you can think of, anything, literally anything in your past. And when we use the term core wounds, I think a lot of us think that it has to be some massive, horrible trauma that, it has to look like something. And usually, honestly, mostly it doesn't. Usually, honestly, mostly it's the small stuff.
It's the small stuff.
Yes.
It's
It's like
yeah.
go
Just
ahead.
it's one little thing that just keeps eating at you. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's the
Mm-hmm.
insult that you got on the playground when you were like 12
Yeah.
or even like, 2 years ago when you decided to leave the relationship, even though it was on, you're carrying around some stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
or whatever. It doesn't have to be this massive thing, right?
Yeah.
But if you still feel bad about it, you haven't healed from it. And then
Right.
you're carrying around these bad feelings that have become habitual. And so even when you're not thinking about that thing, because usually we're not thinking about the thing that where it started.
Right.
Usually it's like we're doing something else and we just feel bad or whatever it is, or
Yeah.
things happen in our daily lives that
We're just on
continue to,
autopilot habit negativity, but not negativity that anyone, it just looks like reality, or
yes,
it's kind of lightly veiled in like, well, I'm just being realistic, or,
right.
just, yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
impossible. Just any, yeah, that's, or
Mm-hmm.
that, or yeah, whatever it
It's
is,
just a
or
little
just an
bit of
interaction.
doubt. It's like a doubt.
Yeah.
It's like a sprinkling of doubt, whatever. So if this negativity, so basically you're saying it's a habit that we haven't healed, and then we keep having the habit because
Because
we
we
haven't
need to heal
healed.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we come into the earth plane to heal, to grow, learn, grow, have fun, try it out. Like it's a very
Yes.
squished dimension. So we're like, oh, it's like fitting into your jeans after eating a lot. And you're like, okay. And then so we've come here to do this. So the things that we're not healing, or the things we haven't healed yet, it's like that is what you came to do, which should then, I'm going to just detour a little bit, should give a person hope, because if you came to do that, then you're going to be successful. Because why would you come to fail? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like the universe isn't like, I'm going to set this person up for doom. Unless you chose that, because that certainly
Yeah.
happens. But it could also be not set up for doom. It could be set up for success, depending on how you're going to perceive. Yeah?
Absolutely. I love that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that was just a little
Yeah.
detour. Okay. So then the thing that you, in a previous conversation, because I'm really good at the habit of being, like a little, like, right? Like really
We
good.
all are in
Like I know.
certain, yeah.
So, but no one can do it the way I can do it. So, but also at the same time, no one can do the joy that I can do. I sort of have
Yeah.
superpowers both ways.
You have like a
In one
wide
of those
spectrum of
movies,
awesome.
I'm either Sparkle Rainbow Unicorn or something very dark and negative. Okay, so not really, but okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that I can definitely get in these habits of negativity, and so some advice that you gave me was practice feeling good. Because a lot of times from our listening to Abraham Hicks, oh, it's like feel good, feel good. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel good. But the operative word that blew my little neurons was practice. Practice. And I thought, how does one get good at anything? Practice. You don't like pick your thing. You have to practice to be any good. Music, sports, but you go, right? You never get it the first try, and it doesn't stick. Like you don't have muscle or brain memory. And especially if we bring in neuroplasticity of the brain, if it's been negative, all those neurons are all doing that thing together, and they're firing and wiring together or whatever. Well, you have to tell them to try it a different way, and of course you're not going to get any kind of headway unless you're practicing. So you totally blew my mind with that, because I was like, practice. And then I thought, yeah. And then there's no structure for that, right? So that is where we felt we kind of needed a podcast to add some structure to the practice of feeling good. What are your deep thoughts
I
on
love
that?
this. Oh my God, I love this so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking us here. I think you said it really great because you kind of, I think between the two of us, there were four things that come to mind. The one you said was kind of that mental practice, that conscious redirection, consistent conscious redirection, and being gentle with yourself, like any practice, starting out small and building on it versus thinking, I'm going to spend all day thinking positively, and then I set myself up for failure,
Of course,
like 1 minute in after my brain starts to think about something,
As soon as you have to
Nope.
adult, it's all over. Yeah.
Right.
You're like,
Everything.
okay.
Yeah. Fear comes
When
back.
did the
Tension comes
negativity
back.
start, Erica? Well, when I had to be an adult. Yep.
When I had to start paying rent.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
so starting out small, taking off tiny little bites. And I will say so we are complex beings. We live in a complex and simple existence,
Yes.
both, because we live in an ant world. So the complex part is we are mental beings, we're emotional beings, we're physical beings, we're spiritual beings, we're all the things. They all work together. So I think you and I kind of talked about this, approaching this from a more holistic sort of way. I think a lot of times we think, oh, I just have to think positively and then I'll be fine. That is part of it for sure.
Yes.
That is absolutely part of it. And yes, I think we do have to do that consciously. At the same time, because we're physical beings and we live in this physical world and we have these physical bodies, it's not enough to say, I'm going to think positively and then I'm going to go out and have 5 beers and sleep horribly and wake up and have I don't know, like
donuts
a
for
super
every meal.
greasy, sugary and super greasy breakfast as soon as I wake up. That's not going to keep you in a positive mindset,
It is rare. You're going to be happy for the first 5 bites, even the full meal. But an hour later, I dare anyone to be in a I don't know. Maybe it's true, but yeah.
Well,
I see your point is that you need to take care of your physical existence. Don't live in chaos. Get your shit together. Eat healthy, exercise, get to bed, take care of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I'm going to go off on a tiny little tangent, and I know you're going to bring us back because you're really good at that. So thank you in advance for not letting us just
All right,
keep
everyone,
going.
let's go. Tangent. All right.
Tangent.
Buckle up. Here we go.
So I think I told you that Brian and I were talking the other day about kind of went down this rabbit hole of like grunge rockers who've died by suicide.
Oh yeah.
And right. And like pretty much all of them had a substance abuse problem.
Yeah. With the exception of Eddie Vedder, I think.
Well, he's still alive and he seems happy, but like all the ones who've died, right?
Yeah.
The ones that we talk, right. They all had substance abuse problems, ergo had depression, ergo then, well, doesn't mean it has to lead to suicide, but like they spent enough time in the sadness.
Yeah. We were told that they had problems. So we know this. Yeah.
Right.
They struggled.
Yeah. They struggled.
We're not guessing. We lived the 90s. We know. Okay.
Right. So, and so, but it kind of makes sense to me where, the substance abuse is it's a chemical that and I'm just using this as one example, but point being, we put a physical thing into our physical bodies and it changes the chemical makeup or whatever, temporarily, permanently, whatever. Never permanently, I should say, because that's not true. Temporarily. But if we continue to do that, then it does feel more permanent or more, we sustain that sort of ick. And then, and so that trying to think positive through that's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. You and I have talked about, our kind of one of the things that we're really, excited to do is kind of do the exact opposite. Like, we've talked about things like some of these, like ayahuasca or mushrooms or, certain plant-based things that can bring you mentally into another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I have kind of talked about, like, for us, it's more about hyper clarity, hyper cleanliness, hyper, like, I mean, to the extent to which, like I feel like you and I, and sorry if I'm speaking for you, you can correct me
You
if
can
I'm
always
wrong.
speak for me. Yeah.
But I think you and I are more into this idea of ultra awareness and clarity in the most natural way possible, without any
Yeah.
form of any kind of chemical or any, even
Yeah.
if it's plant-based, like,
Yeah.
that's not,
Yeah. And I know
yeah. Okay.
a handful of people that do the plant-based medicine and they swear by it. I
Yeah.
know for me, ain't no way.
Yes.
I
Right.
just, not that I have a judgment, my body will not get along with that. Like, I just know. And so
Same.
the path, basically what I want to know is, I think what you're trying to say is whatever it takes to get the self awareness and the self love and kind of identify yourself self as source living in a human body and to like really feel that versus it being a concept. That's where we're headed, right? Because
Yes.
that's got to be the most awesome thing. Like, I'm source energy and I'm also Lisa. Cool. And you're kind of this blended being, right? How fun
Yeah.
is that? So that's really the goal. And
Yeah.
I think what I'm kind of picking up and bagging what you're mowing is that that you know that when you do things to your body, it affects you. And so you're very careful because you know your body. Other people, they're at different stages of their life. Maybe they don't know their body. So the ayahuasca works or it doesn't work, they'll find out,
Yeah. And no
doesn't
judgment either. Yeah.
yeah,
It
no
could work
judgment
for
on it, but
people.
it's like
Yeah.
I know myself well enough to know that the times that I got super baked in high school, I'm like, that was good. But my body's like, okay, you're good. You don't really like it was fun.
Yeah.
And we're moving on because it just did no. And so I think you're saying essentially that sensitivity that we have to what we're putting in the body definitely affects the mental and emotional health and
Yes.
vice versa. Like
Yes.
if you're
Thank you.
having poopy thoughts, then I'm like, well, why not eat that donut because my thighs are fat anyway, or whatever kind of thing versus I love myself. I take care of myself. I don't care what my thighs look like now. I just like taking care of myself. Yay. And then, so you're just in a whole different vibe. I want to help myself, audience members, whatever, get to a place because when I'm feeling good, I feel great, but it doesn't take much of I keep saying adulting. Maybe I should figure that out. No, it doesn't take much stress to kind of throw you back into the negative autopilot mode. So one thing that worked extremely well for me, and if I would just do this, I would be like unstoppable, is like gratitude practice where you just go, okay, what's awesome? Plants are awesome. Walls, yay, we live in a house, and just start looking around. Even if you're in a poopy mood, you're like scrunchies. I never thought I would say I'm glad these came back, but they don't tug my hair, and so it doesn't break. I'm like, hey, scrunchies. Just stuff that you're like, just get in gratitude mode, and it really does, really works. But here's the issue: life will come and knock you off, and so for me, what I lack personally is a structure to get in a better mood so I can take better care of myself, so I can be in a better mood so I can take better care of myself. Sometimes I win the day. Today I worked out, blah, blah, all the things, but other days, no. And then those days start to accumulate more because like if you have stress. So what's your advice for our audience to give more structure when they're not good at structure I know part of it's you got to want to, right? That's like
Yeah.
the first step. So, okay, let's say they're like, no, I really want to change my vibration, change my thinking, change how I'm treating my body so that I can basically, you have a happiness practice, right? Like
Yeah.
Like I have a yoga practice, I have a happiness or peace or joy or whatever practice. We'll use happiness because why not? Um, feeling good, a feeling good practice. That's, I think, my favorite because then it's not tied to an emotion. It's just, do you feel good or not?
Mm-hmm.
And so whether you're doing physical or not. So what are your thoughts for people when they're not in a great place, but they're not in the worst place? Like they don't really need professional help at this point, but they're just bleh. How does this work in your mind? What's the plan, Stan?
Honestly, I think there's so many words popped in my head. Awareness is huge. Because I think sometimes we forget that we're even thinking negatively. Like we're so used to it and so in the habit that it's like we can't even snap ourselves out of it because we don't even know we're there because that's been our default for so long.
Yeah.
So first, it's like even knowing that that's where you are in any given moment. Second, is becoming very sensitive. I think those two things kind of go hand in hand. Because if you're not hypersensitive, how could you be more aware? Just becoming more and more sensitive, asking questions, staying open-minded. All these things work together. I don't think I know I sound like a broken record, but genuinely until you
Or
have,
a platinum gold record.
thank you. But like really, truly, until you have, I don't think you can honestly, you can't start from here
Mm-hmm.
if you spent all this time feeling crappy. You can't just all of a sudden go forward. You have to
Right.
clean this out. You have to. You can't. You can do all. I'm just saying. If you're gonna, if you okay, today I start thinking positive. Today I change my diet. Today I start moving my body more. Today I do all these things. Okay, that's great, and that is absolutely a yes. But have you actually gone back to see to like, um, I, have you gone back to kind of heal that stuff like we talked about in the beginning? If you haven't, and you have tried all the things, you're like, but I do eat well and I do like do this stuff, but I still feel crappy. That's why. That's why. I promise you, that's why. It
I
just,
don't
so,
deny. Yeah. I don't
so
deny. Now,
it's huge.
okay, so you would say, reference our how you would go sort of back and fix that stuff. Now, continue. It looks like you have more.
Sorry. I was going to also add to that.
Yeah.
Cause that to me is step one. If you
Okay.
haven't done that, this practice isn't going to work. That's kind of why I said that. The practice part though, once you've gotten there, practice part, now, and it, because I really, I'm trying to think. I almost feel like if you've done that, you don't even need the practice. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Tell me your
All right.
thoughts. Tell me your
I
thoughts.
I am diametrically opposed to you. Just kidding.
Tell me. No,
I
tell me for reals. This is good.
Okay, well, okay, so where I'm now, granted, I'm in the throes of actually trying to do this, so I'm kind of, you could be right. I try like this morning, I got up at like 4, took my husband to the airport. So I was totally out of my mind on the drive back. It was like 5 in the morning. And I was like, okay, feel your feelings. And I had some feelings and they kind of came up and went, but I wouldn't say it was like a major thing. I was just, and it wasn't about him or anything like that. It was just something too long to get into here. But basically I was like, yes, release the whatever. And then I noticed later, I'm like, yeah, that didn't make any difference whatsoever. I'm still cranky. But here's what I noticed. I was complaining about myself to another friend who was in the exact same position as me. And we were just like, meow, 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 meow. Yeah. And then I just can't even this because blah, and then blah, blah. And as I was listening to myself talk, and here's where the awareness piece comes in, I was like, I am so goddamn sick of this. I am just over it. So instead of letting the day be like every other day where I'm whatever, I worked out. I was like, okay, just made it. So I think sometimes just forcing yourself to do things
Yeah.
is really the answer. Like just force it and it will feel weird and whatever. And it didn't feel weird. It was just something that I don't normally do. Um, But I will say that the gratitude thing, if you make time for it, journal, take time, that is a habit that works and will take you very far. And I don't think you
Yeah.
need to go fix much, because I think life, personally, I just think life will get in your face and make you deal with it when you're
Mm-hmm.
ready. So you don't need to purposefully go there. Now, I only say this because I tried to go back and my body will just not let me. I'm like, okay, feel how you felt. And I'm like, oh, what's that?
Crickets.
Well, it's either crickets and then my brain just, it's sort of like, it would be easier for me to watch Marley and Me. And then when the dog dies, just cry. And then I'd be like, oh, look, that felt good. Some catharsis or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried. Now, I'm not dissing your thoughts at all. I'm
Yeah,
just saying
yeah,
I do
totally.
struggle. So
Yeah.
my advice to people is, if it sounds awesome for you to be like, yeah, I need to go deal with this, because there's shit I need to deal with for sure. I do need to deal with it. I should journal about it. I should get into it, and I should do all the things that we've said on the podcast. But as far as practicing feeling good goes, I just need to freaking practice. I'm like,
Yeah.
sit your butt down and be happy, and sit your butt down and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Just do some things. Because I think you said, and I'm using your own wisdom against you. You said to me not that long ago, but you said you either prioritize yourself or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ooh, that one, that was like tattooed in my brain. And so that was kind of that moment for me. I was like, yeah, you either prioritize yourself or not. Like, you can
Yeah.
clean out your feelings, you can not do that, you can this, that, and the other thing, but you're either prioritizing or you're not. So just make a choice and then shut up about it. Like, either you're happy with yourself or not, and putting more structure in your life so you practice feeling good more.
I love
Yeah.
this. And I
Okay.
agree with you. And I will say a couple things. One, if anything will work that you genuinely believe is going to work, period.
Well,
Because
there's
we know
that
how the law of
too.
attraction works. We know
Yes.
how that works. So whatever really truly resonates with us, and there's not just one way. And I think the other thing I'll say is I do think both. I don't think it's a this or that.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's a
agree.
both. It's
It's an
because it's an
and.
and world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll
And
have a
so,
podcast where I say, Erica, I had all my feelings and cleaned out all that shit, and it totally works, and you're totally right. Just haven't done it yet.
well, the reason I feel strongly about it is because I did do it.
You did. And it
So
worked.
that's why,
Because I
yes, and
saw
it
the
worked.
change. I saw the
Yeah.
change. It was
That's
like,
why, that's
yeah.
why I know it
Mm-hmm.
works, because I actually did it. So
Yeah.
that's why I really stand my ground here.
Yeah.
That said, I don't think that what you're saying doesn't work. That was a lot of
Exactly.
negatives. So no, yeah.
I
Meaning like two negatives equals a
I
positive.
love a double negative, actually. You're like, don't not do that.
Don't not do that. Yeah.
One of our favorite lines from, I don't know if you saw the movie The Croods with,
was that a
Nick
animated
Cage,
one?
yeah, animated Nick Cage,
Oh,
Ryan
yeah.
Reynolds, other people. And one of our fun things that we yell in the house is, never not be afraid. And that was like my favorite line from that. So,
I love that too.
yeah, well, because my kid was young, we watched a lot of TV, and then when she moved away, we were like, we could still watch cartoons. They're fun and funny.
That's awesome.
Yes. Okay, so I don't even know where we were, but all I know is that everything you say is genius and changes my life. That's what I do know.
I love you so much. And I'm
Yes.
gonna actually also support 100% what you said again.
What
I'm
did
gonna
I
double
say?
down on my support of what you said. Because what I will say is all these things, again, holistic approach, all these things work together. So it's kind of like if you only have the energy or the desire or in the moment, it's the only thing that's resonating with you is to think positive. Do that. Don't think I can think positive, but I'm not going to do that because I think I should go do this deep clean out thingy that feels really heavy. So I'm going to force myself to do that when this other thing feels like a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Do what feels easy. You and I we've talked about this idea of easy world, which you introduced me to this term. Thank you very much. Which is true. Like if in the moment your body's screaming for something, do that feels right and you know it's good for you, do that. I don't care what it is, right? Because that feels good. Because at the end of the day, what you and I are talking about is getting to a place where we consistently feel good, period.
Yep, that's really the main goal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it doesn't matter how you get there. I got there a certain way. And I'm not saying that I'm like, done. Okay, I can die now and go, whatever. I'm still working out stuff as we all are. We're just at different points in all of our lives, which, I just had another thought and it escaped me.
Come back to Erica. Come back. Okay, so the feeling good, here's what I've realized. This is another layer, and then your thought will come back to you, so just interrupt me because I'll be able to this. I think we're not ready to feel good until we're ready to feel good. Yeah. Because as a person who has stayed in negative habits, it's like you're not ready to feel good. Like my husband is the best person on earth, and he'll be like, hi and love. And I'm like, I am crabby and I do not want to feel good right now. If you're not ready to feel good, you will stay not feeling good until you're ready to feel good. And I maybe hit that point today where I was like, okay, like, it's like you want to feel bad to prevent feeling worse or something. Yeah. For example, if you're trying, let's say you don't like something that you're doing, and you could take the time to figure out something to do different. Oh, I got to figure this out, so I stop doing this thing, or whatever. Or you can just simply relax and feel better, which will bring you to a higher vibration where you can see how to solve the thing. Because as Einstein said, you can't solve a problem from the place it was created. Like, they're just on different planes, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's a better quote than that, but the concept is that, like they're two different vibrations or two different frequencies, essentially. Abraham always says this, you're ready when you're ready, or you're getting ready to be ready, or that kind of thing. And I get it, but then I kind of got it where I was like, nobody's forcing you to be happy, but when you're ready, you can just go, like, let all this crap go and just be in a good space. But because we have practice as the title today, like the practicing feeling good, you're really good with habits. Like, I've noticed this about you. You have positive habits. What's something that helps you get those habits?
I had a thought before I answer that. Is that okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. There are a lot of reasons why we feel crummy. And sometimes I think sometimes when we're really aware of what would make us happy, and we're not in that space, then we'll feel worse. Whereas if we're unaware, like I remember, when I was way younger, I didn't really know, like I was less clear on what I wanted my life to look like, the path. So I was just like, la, 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 just going through life. And it didn't look really any different than when I can remember being like more consciously sad. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't, but it was because the sadness, I was just more aware of what I didn't want. You know what I mean? Right. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes like when we're like in a job, we're like, I'm very clear that I don't want to be in this job. It's sad and depressing. Whereas if you're like, yeah, it's fine, there's less clarity around, mm-hmm. you're just more content, a little more content. Yeah. You're not necessarily happy, but it's just like, you don't really know what direction to go in. So you're okay. You're fine. So I know I say that because I know that's happened with me where, I'm like, I become more and more clear of what I want. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I got to make a change now. Otherwise if I stay here, I'm going to become more and more miserable because I know that this isn't what I want. And I know what I want instead. Or even if you don't know what you want, if you're really clear on what you don't want and it's there and you stay there, that can just create more sadness, Yeah. So anyway, and that's outside of the core wound thing, right? It's just like, mm-hmm. But it's all, it's all related. It's all like, the more we stay in a crummy feeling space, the more we're just feeding that habit. And then it's even harder to get out of it.
It does,
So
because law of
it's all
attraction.
related.
Yeah. And I definitely have experienced that, where it's always the more. So the more you let yourself stay in a yicky spot, and it goes in a circle, and pretty soon it feels like, I describe it, it's almost like a force field that you can't even change out of, where you're like, oh my God, because you've amassed so much habit around it, mentally, physically, energetically, all this stuff. But I feel like it's almost like, because like you can literally snap your fingers and it'll change. I just think it's that you have to be ready, because this morning when I was cranking with my friend and we were like, rah, I felt the force field. I was like, I can never change. I'm just going to give up. And then, like, not that long during the day, I was like, well, I don't know. I shifted my thinking for some reason. And then I was like, okay, just do it. I'm like, okay. And then I did. And it's like, oh, it wasn't the force field just kind of went away, because I think I was just ready.
Yeah.
And so I think almost it's like, don't fight yourself in a way. Like, if you're not ready to be happy, give yourself a break.
Yeah.
It's fine. Don't put more pressure on yourself. But when you're ready to be happy, welcome to the Sparkle Rainbow Unicorn Show, Flow Getter. Here, what? You were going to say something?
Well, you just made me think of, and I think this might be what I was going to say earlier. I'm going to just, again, scream at the top of my lungs. No, I'm not going to scream. But I think movement,
yes,
is so, I can't even speak enough about how important this is. Here's why. I don't have any science terminology, but science-wise, which to me, when I say the word science, I mean just the physical part, because that to me is science. Anything physical is science. So physically, when you move, you are moving energy. You are moving the negative energy out of you. So it is not a wonder why you feel better when you move. So if you're literally taking a walk on the phone with your friend, you're moving. So you're probably like, you start off, I think I can honestly say this. I would be willing to bet every person that I know that I ask could probably agree with this. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but when you're sitting there, like let's say you have a desk job or you're in the car. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of like taxi drivers or Uber drivers or whatever that I've noticed. I mean, for one of my jobs, I drove quite a lot and I was angry. I understand why there's anger behind the wheel. I understand what road rage is when it comes to being behind the wheel for hours. You're sitting, you're not moving. There's just this tension that builds and builds and builds and it has nowhere to go because you're just sitting there doing nothing. And then you get angry. I get it. Same with, being in front of the computer, tension builds and then you're frustrated and you're exhausted and then you get depressed and it's awful because you're not moving the energy out of you.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important when you're feeling, and then your mind you just get sadder and sadder and sadder. And then you have to eat. And so you go sit down and sit some more to eat. Yeah. And we tend to choose the sugar to keep us awake or the caffeine to keep us awake or the stuff to keep us awake, whatever it is. And then we have to go back and sit down again. And we wonder why we feel like crap. Like it's amazing to me how in a way, how simple it is to just move that energy through you with movement, because the movement cleans that out. And then it starts triggering better thoughts. They just go hand in hand. They just do.
It's almost like I should be in constant motion the whole day, because as soon as I'm good sitting for a while, and then all of a sudden I'm like depressed and whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. And I have a desk job, and sometimes the standing isn't any better, just PS. Like it just isn't.
Agree.
It's just sort of a staticness.
You're still not moving. Yeah.
Yeah. Not too much. So it's okay. So Flow Getter audience, PSA, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you moving? And if it isn't pretty close to the top, let's take a look at that. I can empathize with all of us. You get busy, you start rationalizing, And I used to be like really much more physically active. So I get how it changes. I get how you talk yourself into it, but we all have to commit to, well, when we're ready, we'll choose feeling good. That's
right.
the bottom line. And I would say on a simple level, walk. On a more complicated level, pick a muscle and move it. Lift something up, squat down 10 times. Just, it doesn't even matter. Just wiggle. The best thing though is put on some music and dance and
Oh
just
yeah,
do
dance.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
move
favorite
it.
song,
Totally.
make it happen. It's
Yeah.
5 minutes of your life. You will feel better. Like today's song was Okay Go, Here It Goes Again. It's an oldie but a goodie. The one where they did the treadmills. Does everyone remember that
Oh my God,
video?
yes, that song's
Right?
hilarious.
Was
Or
that
that
not
music
amazing?
video is hilarious. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
it's
so good.
hilarious. It's
It's so
it's
in
just,
sync
it
and
makes me so
coordinated
happy.
and
Well, it was like the first, so they're known for their crazy coordinated videos. Like the stuff they're doing now is insane.
oh
And like, yeah, that's like their thing. And so it was like one of those first of its kind type videos, but the song is just a great song. And so, yes, video, but the song is really good. So just pick something that you're like, I remember that song from whatever decade, or something that's super new. Go for it. I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, just
like,
move. You're right.
yeah. In fact, people in the comments, put your favorite song that you could share with others, because we could maybe have a fun playlist where we're all like, oh my God, this is the best dance tune, or whatever.
Totally.
Whatever floats your boat.
I love it.
Okay, so we have covered so many things. I'm going to say that I want to talk a little bit more about one thing.
Yes.
In the New Age space, there's two things. I want to talk about a Matt Kahn thing and then talk about a Joe Dispenza thing. So in the Joe Dispenza avenue, there's a lot about and Bruce Lipton and a lot of other guys. It's kind of like reprogramming your mind a little bit, which
Yeah.
I dig. Like, do you believe this could happen? You gotta, because Joe Dispenza in it, he literally got himself unparalyzed. And he said it took him 6 weeks of just doubting himself and having his brain going like back and forth until he just could get himself to get in the groove. And then from week 6 to 12, he was back in the gym. And this guy, he couldn't even move,
Wow.
couldn't move. So I totally love this whole, once you can get your brain on board with beliefs, you've got some magic that you can really make happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just tip of the iceberg, right? Just think of where we could go with that. And then on the other hand, kind of a la Matt Kahn, we have kind of this just let life come through you and just, let it be and just be with what is and love everything what is. And I think that both are really appropriate. And our job is to figure out when we're supposed to just be and love what is, and other times where we're supposed to take the reins and make a change.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to hear any of your thoughts on that, because I think it's both, as you know, it's but use your discernment. Because I think a lot of times I hear a lot of people like, well, you just do this. I'm like, well, you do that when that's appropriate, but you can also do this or this or that or this. You have a smorgasbord of new age choices before you. Find the right tool for the right moment.
I love this. Thank you. I totally agree. I think a few things. I 100% agree with what you the idea of choosing what fits in the moment, because that's the only thing that's going to work. If you try to force yourself to do something because you think you're in your head and you think that that's what you're supposed to do, but your entire being is pulling you in a different direction, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to what I mean, just the basics, right? For me, it's about feeling. It's about being in your body and letting your body be your guide. When I say body, I mean the internal instincts, which you can call it intuition, you can call it a gut reaction, you can call it your feelings and emotions, you can call it, just a tug or a idea that pops in your head. Whatever you want to call it, That's your connection to all that is. And all that is helping to guide you, because you are that and that is you. And so it's basically your bigger self saying, no, do this. And you have to listen to that, because when you go against that, and it feels, again, going back to it, it feels more difficult. It feels more challenging. It feels like the harder path. You know that you're not on the right, like, I don't want to say not right, because it's always right, but the more challenging the route that's going to take a little longer.
Yeah.
So to your point, like, it would be great. Like, I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on what works for them, because you and I have even talked about, I love that you and I we're like alike in the right ways and different in the right ways. That's why we work.
We're a perfect match. Yeah.
We are a perfect match. Absolutely. And what I love is like you are very, you're cerebral.
Super.
And you're really intelligent. I mean, in all ways and shapes and forms, but your thought process is so awesome. And I so love it. And I love hearing how this works. And so I know for you, working with the mind is important. I 100% agree with that.
Well, just because it has so much control over me on the flip side. So I have to make sure that monster is under control, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would venture to guess that what you say resonates with people that are probably built more like that, more like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, because I'm not mental at all, I mean, to the extent to which, like, I forget things, I mean, all the time,
I forget things all the time.
But I mean, like even as we talk, I can tell you seem, even your words, like, you have fewer pauses. Do you know what I mean? Like, it flows better. Words flow better. I have to sit there and think sometimes, or whatever. Anyway, point being, I tend to live in my body, more. And so that's what works for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I used
so
to
that's
live in
why
my body more. Here's what my theory on this, kind of a side note.
Yeah.
I used to be way more physical and not in my brain. Like, the awesomeness you see before you was quite different if you bring me back to like 16 years old or something, because I had been in sports and just always, aerobics, sports, yoga, just always doing stuff. I was less mental. I only got more mental as I sat more. So I feel like the energy literally came up. And I think part of one of the fun new places I'm going is to bring it back in, because I think consciousness is in every cell, and they all just kind of ganged up in, I keep pointing to my head. Consciousness is everywhere. But I think, yes, it's true in my chart. I have a lot of mental stuff. But I also think that we can change that if we need to or want to. And so I have a personal goal to kind of balance and be more physical, because I've been ignoring the physicality. And I'm like, yeah, I think that would actually benefit your mental space better, personally.
And I'll just go back to one of the greatest lessons, or not lessons, one of the greatest teachings I've ever heard is this idea of making decisions from the body, and like the versus the mind, whereas the mind is there to observe. The mind is there to, literally, that's it. It's just to observe. The body is where it's at when it comes to making decisions. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people don't know. You know that, but I think I'd say that I say that recorded.
Let's say it again. The mind is for the observation. The body is for the decisions. Exactly. It is an excellent teaching, and people don't forget this. It is so true. Your body will tell you the right people, the right food, the right everything, and your mind is there to just observe and report. I see this over there. I see that. Okay, but you let the body decide.
Absolutely. And when it comes to making personal decisions, right? Like, we observe things, we can see what in the world, what feels right and what feels wrong. I'll say we've all had the experience of, like, making a decision because it seems logical, because it makes sense, because it adds up, because it worked for somebody else. But something inside of us is saying, don't do that. But we make the head decision anyway. And then later we're like, dang it, I knew not to do that. Like, how many times have we all done that, right? So I'll also add to that So going back to science, and again,
Ooh,
when I say science, I mean the
Defoya.
physical world. I know, I'm going to start saying science more. It's like,
You're so science. You're so
sciencey. You're the sciencey. You've taught me to be more science. But science, okay, which equals anything anything that's physical, that's tangible, that sees anything, right? In the physical world, think about it. Our bodies, what percentage of our bodies is our head? Right? It's a tiny
amount.
little, right. Mm-hmm. Our bodies is a very large amount. So it's kind of logical. And the reason I always want to point the physical world out is because it makes sense. It makes sense to people. It's very logical. Yeah. There's nothing in the spiritual realm that is not logical. It is all very logical. 100%. Like it makes more sense to me sometimes in the physical world, but that's a side note. But in any case, physically, we have way more body than we do head. So it kind of makes sense that most of the information is in the body part, right?
Yeah.
So when we disconnect ourselves from our bodies and we're all up here, that's kind of, it's not serving us at all, really, is what's going on.
It isn't. So. And here's some extra fun. I don't have quite the grasp on the science because I forgot, but you have actually more brain tissue in your guts. And
that's amazing.
Here's what's extra fun. Your brain and your gut brain tissue have totally different functions. So you have two brains. Actually, I think you have three. There's like some other, I don't know if it's the heart.
In your butt?
Actually.
Oh.
No.
It'd be fun if it was in your butt.
It's in your ass. Which for some people seems super true. But I will say, I think the third, because I've heard the third brain. Oh God, why can't I remember this? I'm so embarrassed. Just kidding. I think
we're gonna go look this up. This is awesome.
Yeah, look it up. I think there's brain tissue in the heart also. So basically and brain, when we say brain tissue, it's basically communication tissue is the way I look at it. Like it's sending signals. So the gut sends signals up to the brain by the vagus nerve back. Stuff goes like this, right? And more signals go up than go down and blah, blah, blah. Like it's all so interesting. To your point, there's more of you involved in decision-making than just this type of brain, which is the observing brain and okay, I was programmed to not do this because my parents did that, or it's the conditioned brain. But that's this part of the tissue. The other tissue is not the conditioned brain. That's the feedback mechanism where they're like, more fiber, please, or more whatever, like,
that's amazing.
Stay away from that dude. That dude is poison, or whatever. Like that doesn't feel right, but I'm going to do it anyway kind of thing. Like these two are not in sync. And of course, what's in the middle? Your heart. And so, you've got this synchronicity that you could get going, but we're so conditioned to just, okay. And then your heart's going this way, brain's going this way, gut's going that way. Good luck, sister.
Yes.
Yeah. So now
I love that
we know
God,
this, we can take a minute and we can say, all right, body, heart. Okay. Thanks, head, for gathering, because that's what the eyes are for, is to gather data. Ears, everything up here is like, smell it. Like it's a data gathering center. Observe. Yes. You said it. So now our challenge is the practice of feeling good, which is our theme today, is practice letting the rest of your body be part of your choices.
Yes. Okay. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you. That was so beautiful. I can't wait to use what you just said as a clip. That was so awesome. So basically, yes, we gather the information here and we're processing it down here. And so this is where taking care of this part becomes even more important, right? Because you need a clean processor down here. You need to defrag all that stuff, right? And make sure defrag. That's like such a 1990s word.
I love it though.
Or whatever, early 2000s. But you basically need to make sure this is all good to process, which equals the movement, which equals the rest, sleep, which equals the nutrients, the clean foods that we put into our bodies to make the machine yeah.
Yeah.
Clear, clean, crisp. Oh my God. I love what you just said.
I know. Well, it's like we're antenna, not just from our own consciousness, but the entire consciousness of existence and all that created everything. Like you could be an antenna for that because each cell in your body has a little consciousness and is an antenna. Did you know that cells make light? Isn't that cool? I won't go into the science. I know.
So awesome.
Like your cells make freaking light. You're like, cool.
Did you see? Okay. Sorry.
What?
Did you see the Melissa McCarthy show? It was only like 6 episodes. And
No.
she saw like the guy she worked with, lit up, like he glowed and only she could see it. Basically he'd been like touched by God or whatever, but like, this makes sense to me. Yes, he was glowing, but this is awesome. Okay. I love this. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
So the body, it's so cool. No, I mean, this is exactly what we're saying is there's so much more. And then we're sitting here struggling with just getting through each day. We're like, oh, negativity, oh, stress, oh, chronic habits that are not helping, oh, chronic stress, and all this stuff. And then there's so much more, right? So much. And it's fine if we don't, there's nothing really to achieve. It's just that at some point you get sick of yourself spinning around these things and having bad habits. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to try. Einstein, love this guy, said you either live life as if it's all a miracle or none of it is. And I'm like, it's all a miracle.
Totally.
I mean, can we go back to the scrunchie first?
Yes.
Just kidding.
Absolutely.
It does not break your hair. Come on. Who doesn't love that?
It's amazing.
So, I mean, everyone needs to tie their hair back, but yeah. So, okay. Erica, in summation, if you wanted to talk to our audience today, what's the biggest hope thing that you can give people for their journey to practice feeling good when they're somewhere in the middle of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say just in this moment, be present, be in your body, be here. Wherever you're at, be there. Wherever you're at, be there. And if you are opening the door to the next step forward toward positivity. So whatever comes to you in that very present moment, you will have your answer. I promise. That's what I would say.
So beautiful. Oh, bravo. I'm just going to golf clap that. That was brilliant. I love it. And that probably screwed up our sound. Sorry. It was good. Oh, no. Thank you
say?
for that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to say, just keep repeating to yourself, I can do it. It's an oldie but a goodie. You can do it.
Yes, you can do it.
Feeling good is natural because it's who you started us with this one. It's who we are. And life is going to take you all over the place, but there's a lot of space in between the highs and the lows to just feel, to make a choice, to move, to breathe, to think, be grateful, be focused on what's working. And I think maybe the main thing is, yes, it's a challenge to rewire your thinking. It absolutely is. But it's a great challenge. Like the Formula One winners, it's hard to drive a car at 200 miles an hour and turn a corner and not die. But they do it because it's fun. And so we can do it. I feel like we go, yeah, it's a worthy challenge for us to go, yeah, it's hard. The brain does not want to do it, but your soul does. And that's why you can do it.
You can do it.
Yes.
And I'm going to say one last thing. You just reminded me of one last thing. Which, sometimes reminding ourselves, perspective, right? Sometimes reminding ourselves that what we see as a problem, maybe it doesn't have to be a problem. I mean, there are definitely problems. There are definitely things that we should do different. But sometimes like little things like, and here's an example. Like I used to think that eating chocolate was a problem. I don't think it is. I decided it's not a problem.
I love it.
And now I never feel bad eating chocolate. Like I don't. I'm just like, I enjoy it. I don't feel bad after I eat it.
Because you haven't made a mental decision that it's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of, so that's a little example. The point being, there's certain things that maybe if we've seen them as an issue, maybe
they stay an issue.
Maybe they don't have to be. Yeah, then they stay an issue. And then they're going to be problematic because you decided they were.
Yeah.
But like, and that's like small, I know there's like not every, I just throw that out there. I know that that's very, that it can get dangerous if we think of
it can
everything in those terms. But
well, I think it's, if you're tuned into yourself and you're ready to go against the narratives of the world.
Yeah. Right.
You'll know you'll know by the results. Just because you want to defy gravity doesn't mean you're ready to defy gravity. But sometimes you can defy food rules because people do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're getting negative feedback, like, I don't want bacon to be bad, but your body gets inflamed and over time you start to not feel good and be like, I don't think that's going to agree with you.
Agree.
So you have to know where you end and the strong collective consciousness begins, and where, is this going to sort of give me the results I'm looking for to sort of go against this? Is it worth your energy? In the case of chocolate, absolutely worth your energy. So good for you. I'm proud of your mind. Because people can walk over hot coals. Why can't you have chocolate? Right?
Right. Yeah. It's like,
but if you think it's bad, if you still have the narrative of sugar and whatever, don't go there. Wait till you've cleared that out of your brain. And it may not be worth your time right now to deal with that. Yeah. In Erica's case, absolutely worth her time. Good job, Erica. I'm very proud of you. Today was a blast. Thank you so much for going down this fabulous topic today. I hope everybody out there does a great job with just those little practices of choosing to feel good. And we wish you all the good mojo for that journey, because we know we've been there. So thanks for joining us today. If you want more flow getterness, we've got lots of videos for you to check out. Otherwise, we do suggest going out into nature and getting off the internet. But if you need more of us, we've got flowgetter.com. And we just hope you have a great rest of your life. If we never speak to you again, we hope you come back. Anyway, Erica, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And everyone, please leave your comments below. Subscribing and liking and stuff. We all know it's the damn algorithm. We want you to go live your life. But if you can do it, please do it if you want to get more. But also we just believe in, getting out there and get nature, move your body, have some fun, and then just check. Have us be the only internet you do. That's perfect. Okay. So that's all you need. All right. Thanks again, everyone. We will see you next time. And Erica, you're the best. Mwah.
You're the best. I love you.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.